Hello. All right, get my camera right. Okay, hello, welcome to Everyday Manifesting. I'm Fran, I'm your host. If you're new here, I am super excited that you have joined us. I am celebrating today. I'm celebrating right now because some things have happened that I'm really excited about, and y'all are gonna be like, why are you celebrating that? First off, I just approved somebody to join the group, and in the membership questions it was like, how'd you hear about the group? And they were like, well, I downloaded a PDF and it told me to come here. And I'm like, yes, that is the first time. So you know who you are. Hello. That is the first time somebody's joined the group because I put it in the PDF. Let me just full disclosure. It's probably like one of the first times that somebody that I don't already know has bought the planner. So it's like, to me, that's evidence that like the word is getting out. You are a friend of a friend. So it's kind of, hey, Francia. It's kind of like you heard about the planner from somebody who's in the group, and that person got you, to get the planner, and then you got the group. So welcome. So that is like I said, evidence that the word is getting out in the right way. Hey, Pamela, you caught me live. I'm so excited. I can't wait to listen to your podcast interview. Actually, it's video, right? I can watch your podcast interview. That's on my list of things to do today. So much to tell you. The other thing I'm super excited about is that the new version of the Budget Diary is out. I got a sale today from the old version of the Budget Diary, and I'm like, y'all are missing out. Like, do you not know how much up-leveled lusciousness the new version has? And somebody that was like new to me bought the old one, and I was like, okay, it's like black and white and very plain. The other one is super pretty, but whatever. It's like to each his own. I plan to make more versions of that, so if you're holding off, that's perfectly fine, because the first one is that it's a geode, like an agate design, and the next one I think I'm gonna have like an African print design, and then the next one after that will be queens. So I got all these ideas because I love this planner, and I just wanted to feel expansive and abundant and beautiful and reflect who I am, and if you resonate with that, then you would love it too. All right, so what else am I celebrating? I'm celebrating so many things, right? You guys have been doing so many amazing things in the group, and I celebrate each of you, and then I don't come here with notes to remember who all I'm shouting out, but I will be doing that in the future. So today I'm picking up kind of where we left off yesterday. Yes, I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted. Pamela says she loves African print. I do too. I have always loved African print, even when I was a kid, and there was no one around me, no one in my family, none of my friends who understood why I loved African print, and just they didn't get it, and I didn't even know why I liked that, but I was drawn to it. So fast forward 40 years, I'm married to a man from Ghana. I am still in love with African print, and now I'm expressing that part of me that for a while I was hiding because it really didn't fit in with anything, and now I'm like, you know what, somebody out there is going to resonate with it, and because I like it, I'm putting it out there, and yes, it's in my DNA. Yeah, so it's gonna, I'm going to be who I am and who I should have been all along. It's just I'm going to express that more. Lawrence, hello, welcome. So Lawrence can tell you, Lawrence has the new version of the Budget Diary. If you bought the Budget Diary the last month or so, I just sent you the new file because I was like, you just bought this old one, and let me tell you, the new one is on point. So here you go, take a look. So I probably sent out like 10 of those, but it's in the shop right now. You get the tribe discount, of course. Everybody in the tribe gets the tribe discount, so feel free. So what I want to tell you about today. So we started a couple days ago talking about winning life, and I kind of threw that term out there, and I was talking about how these millennials have figured out how to win with money starting young, starting like in college, fresh out of college, and they just win with money, and like 10 years later they're starting their own small businesses, they're living their life, they're living off dividends. And I was like, dang, how come I didn't know that when I was younger? Well, the honest truth is we didn't know that. This is this whole age of online business, all this information explosion, podcast, you can be a fly on the wall for $1 million conversation, and that's not what you had before, right? When we were growing up, you learned things because people in your family knew things, because your grandfather had money and he told your father how to manage money, and your father taught you how to manage money if you were a male. And for us, especially brown and black people, and women, and people in sort of like marginalized communities, we were not privy to any of this information. We were not privy to financial strategy. We were not privy to even learning how to manage money, or even understanding how money works, because money has a specific function, and it is not what I grew up thinking that it was. It wasn't until like 2 years ago when I even learned, like, okay, what is money? But see, now that we are in this era, this explosion of information, we have so much information, right? And like I said, with the fly on the wall idea, I remember being in my car listening to podcasts and feeling a little bit ashamed. I was like, do they know that I'm listening? I'm listening to like Caucasian people who have money talk about what their parents have taught them. And I'm like, if they knew that this little black girl, was listening to them, taking notes, remembering like, oh, do this, do that, do this, would they still be having these conversations? Would they still, like, if I was physically in the room with them, would they be saying this out loud? Probably not. Probably not. But through the magic of online world, through the magic of podcasts, through the magic of YouTube, we are now privy to these conversations where we can learn how money works and learn how to maximize. See, that bumblebee was trying to sabotage what I'm telling y'all. No, but learn how to maximize what we can do in our lifetime and what we can pass on to our kids. So that bar of entry has been lowered. It's lowered. We have no excuse for, oh, hey, Francia's got to go back to work. Francia is a nurse, so yeah, do what you have to do. Thank you for tuning in, and definitely come back and catch the replay. But yeah, so we, the only obstacle that we have now is probably that we have too much information. And I found this in myself, where I'm following this person, and then this person comes along, and you kind of get you get scattered across all of these different people who can help you. So I would definitely say, find your person and stick with them. Don't find the person out of guilt. Like, don't stick with somebody because of a certain reason that you feel like you should stick with them. Definitely stick with them because you resonate with them. Your personality resonates with them. You love the sound of their voice. You love the way that they look. You love everything about them. Like, you feel comfortable and you don't feel intimidated by them. You feel like, that person could be like your big sister, your big brother, whoever, whatever kind, a voice that you need to hear that resonates with you. And the reason I say this is because we are in such a privileged position at this point that we can choose. We can choose our teachers. We can choose our coaches, right? It doesn't have to be me. It can be anybody, whoever resonates with you. And I found that I resonate more with female voices for personal development. And the good thing about that is that there's so many women out there who are helping with personal development that I can take my pick, right? And I resonate probably with masculine voices on different subjects, but as far as personal development, I want to hear mine from a woman. Like, I want to hear, because they, a woman can know like what it is I'm dealing with. And so that's a blessing that we have so many choices out there, and you can choose a coach of your liking, and you can get all this free coaching on YouTube, on podcasts. You can get so much free coaching. So we have that, right? Okay. So when it comes to now, you weren't born in 1983 or whatever, right? Like, you were born in the 70s and the 60s and even the 50s, and now you're at a point where you feel like you missed a train. Because that's the way I felt. Like, you missed the train. Like, oh, all these people are out here with all this information. I didn't have this information growing up, so now I missed the boat, and now I've made a huge mess of my life just trying to figure it out as I went along, doing the best that I could at the time, and with parents who were doing the best that they could at the time with the information they had. I had to go through a lot of healing and forgiveness of my family, of feeling like they should have taught me, they should have told me, they should have warned me. Hold on. Excuse me. And really feeling like I got the short end of the stick in some ways. Of course, that's not true, but that's what my brain was trying to tell me. Like, oh, you should have known this. Look at all these people who know this. But at the time, they didn't know it, so how could I know it? If you guys watch Travel Chat, which is on YouTube, those old videos when I was driving in my car talking it out, a lot of that was me processing forgiveness and processing my experiences and processing my childhood and talking through the anger that I had and the confusion that I had. And luckily I worked through that and was able to move past it and really forgive. That was the whole midlife crisis. Like, it was it. Yeah, divine timing. So we are where we are supposed to be. Having said that, I want to take you through the steps of what you should do if you find yourself, I was 41 when I had this crisis, if you find yourself over 40 and having this sort of crisis of like, there was a better way to do this and I didn't do it. Now here is where I am. Where do I go from here? Like, can I still win life? Say I'm 55, say I'm 60. Can I still win life, or is it too late for me? Right? Now, this sounds ridiculous to me now because, you know, it took me 14 months to dig out of debt. And it was a lot of debt. It was six-figure debt. I would say high six-figure debt. And it took 14 months to dig out of it, which is a very short amount of time. But before I could dig out of it, I started feeling like it was too late for me. I was going to die with all this debt and there was no hope for me. So first off, I want to say, if you're in that position, if you feel like, okay, I'm over 40 and I didn't know, so here I've made a mess of things, it's too late. I want you to know that there is hope and you absolutely can still win life, and it can happen in such a quick amount of time, so fast. So we're going to do this, okay? This is going to be my new mission in life. We're going to do this. All right. First thing that you need to do at this point, if you haven't done it already, is get clarity. All right? Get clarity. When I was trying to figure out how I would present this to you, I was like, just talk about what you've already been talking about. Like, there's 7 C's, right? If you got the new, like Lawrence is saying, she got the new budget planner, and in there I have a list of the 7 C's. I'm calling it my 7 C's guarantee. If you are getting coaching from me, or if you're using the budget diary, you will see 7 things that begin with C that I can guarantee that you will get by listening to my content or using a budget diary. And the first one is clarity. This is your first step. You need to sit down, right? Because I had to do this. Sit down with your mess, right? Put your ego on the back burner. Sit down with the mess that you've made and let's get it all clarified. Because I can guarantee you, what you have in this pile that is basically the history of your financial life that you think is a hot mess, you actually have a bunch of diamonds. You have diamonds. You even have solutions to the problem that you're facing. I promise you, because I had this mountain of a mess. I had debt. I had credit cards. I had this tangled web of a mess. And as I started to get clarity, basically this is all you do. I made something that I call my big book of financial literacy. And that sounds, I just put a fancy name on it because I was wanting to make it pretty because I was freaking out. But I got this huge binder and I had all of my statements and all these things I had been ignoring forever and ever. And I went online and I had statements that I was pulling up, and I just basically made a binder. And I was like, okay, everything that I can think of that I have, let me get a 1-page summary of it and put it in this binder just so I have it in front of me. And this is going to be clarity for me. So I went through, I was in a house. So I was like, okay, let me get the mortgage statement, or, you know, like the current billing statement for the mortgage for this house. We had a rental house. Let me pull out a current statement for that house. Let me pull up my last credit card bill. And I didn't keep all the pages of the bills. Like, I wasn't trying to analyze anything. So really, my point is, step 1, don't analyze anything, just gather. Just gather. Don't judge, don't criticize, don't analyze, don't investigate, don't do any of that. Just gather all your information. So I got the credit card statement. I threw away the rest of it. I just got that first page, because all you basically want is that page with all the information. You know, what's owed, what's the interest rate, you know, what's the name of the account, what's the account number. Like, you just want the main information. Just one page, the front. That's it. I'm telling you, because you will be tempted. I'm saying this because it's almost like decluttering, where you go and you try to declutter a drawer and you end up down a rabbit hole, like doing something else. And it's like, no. You're not going to do that. All you're going to do is grab one page from each of these accounts, just so you can have it all in one place, what you have going on. When you get clarity, you will find that your situation is not as bad as your brain is trying to tell you it is. Your mind is trying to tell you to be afraid, that you're a loser, that you messed up, that you blew it. But when you look at it, you need the facts. Right? You need the facts. You need to actually know what you have. So that's what I did. I got all my statements. I put them in one place. And I'm going to tell you, this is what you should do. So if you haven't already done this, you may have already done this, but if you haven't, get all your statements, all the information for all the assets, all the liabilities that you have, put them in one place. Okay? Take a good look at them, because you have some diamonds hidden in there. You have some equity in your home that you haven't thought about, because all you can think about is what you owe, but you actually have equity. I didn't have to use my equity, thankfully, because I really didn't want to do that. But you also have, I had a whole life insurance policy, which basically had a cash value on it. That cash value was locked up and hidden. They didn't want to tell me how much it was. They didn't want to tell me how to get it. They didn't want to tell me any of that. But I fought for it, and I ended up, once I got that, they paid off 6 of our debts. We had like 8 debts, and they were all really high-level debts. This paid off my student loan. This paid off my car, my husband's car. This paid off everything. Like, the first 6 debts on my debt snowball got wiped out with this one diamond that I had hiding in my pile of mess. Having a whole life insurance policy was a terrible idea, but it ended up being one of the things that was a solution to my problem, right? And I wouldn't have known it if I didn't get clarity about what I have. Yeah, so Pamela is saying she has an old retirement account. These are things that will come up. So first, you start with things that are obvious, right? Like, okay, I have a car, so let me get my car note paper. Okay, I'm living in a house. Let me get my mortgage statement. So you get all these things, and then you don't stress out about it. You do this for like 10, 15, 20 minutes, and then you go about your business, and guess what? Your intuition is going to ping, it's going to tell you like, oh yeah, don't you have that old retirement account? Do some research and figure out where that is, right? And how much that is, and how can I get the statement for it? You put that in your book. Right? You will find money. Then, you know, you get a good night's sleep, you know what I mean? Like, just let it flow. Like, don't be too and I know this is hard because at the time it's stressful. I remember I would walk and my footsteps would say like tick tock, tick tock, tick. Like, that's how stressed out I was. I was like, your life is ticking away and you're gonna die, and you have $600 and something thousand of debt. What are your kids gonna do? You know, and so I know it's stressful and it's easy to say like, don't stress out about it. But really, take it in tiny little bits of time and know that there's hope. So you're going to wake up and you're going to be like, I could have sworn somebody gifted me some stock in something when I worked at such and such company, and they couldn't pay me and they gave me whatever. Amazing things happen. Like, miracles happen. You have to open yourself up to these miracles, and you have to accept the fact that you can't figure out where your solution is coming from. Right? Your inner being, God, is going to take your action and add so much more action onto it. So just your action of getting clarity of your situation is going to open up the universe to say, you know what, by the way, there was some I got checks like this. There was a class action lawsuit for the steering wheel compartment of the car you used to have. Here's $500. And I was like, what? I don't remember that car you're talking about, but this looks like a real check. It doesn't look like a fake check. So therefore, I am going to deposit it and pay this bill. Right? And we ended up paying off all our debts. It was so fast. And the momentum kept building. Every time something like that happened, it helped me to believe even more of the fact that this wasn't hopeless. This isn't a hopeless situation. And so, step 1, get clarity. You need to not believe the feelings in your head, the story in your brain is telling you that everything is all bad and you messed up and you're a loser and you blew it and you're 40 and your life is over. Like, don't believe that. You need the facts, and the facts are gonna be what you gather all of these statements that you put in one place, a big old binder if you have to make sure that when you're looking at it, because we're going to look at it later, but when you're looking at it, you have the facts and you actually know what you have. Because you feel like, okay, if you have, like we have over $500,000 in debt. So I felt like a pauper, right? But when I actually looked at my assets and my liabilities, we had way more assets. Well, about 50-50. So we ended up, or not 50-50, like it was way more, because we ended up, our net worth as a family, our net worth was about $500,000. So if you look at that, like our liabilities were $500,000, but our net worth was $500,000. So the balance of it was, we really had like $1 million in assets, but we had $500,000 in liabilities. So when you do the math, we actually were up 500, but my brain was not telling me that. So I didn't feel that way, right? So we can dig into this deeper later, because I really do. I want to start talking about money all the time, so I can tell you how to evaluate whether something's an asset or a liability. And as I was talking about that, I remembered that there was a page in the old budget diary of where you can line out your assets and liabilities that's not in the new one. So I may have to go back and add that in, because that was really helpful. That's what I use to figure out my assets and my liabilities. And you definitely want to do that, because then you get clarity. Right? And that's what we need. We really need to be looking at the way things really are, because you can feel shame and you can feel sad and scared when you're just thinking about the way things might be. This might be a whole mess, but it also might be like a solution lying within your mess, because my solution, the way that I got out of debt, was in that pile of mess that I had created for 40 years, right? So that is the first way that you can win life, even if you're over 40. I have 7 ways. Like, no, really, I really do. I have so many ideas about this because I lived through it. I went through it, and I want to share them all with you. So that's what we'll be doing here. Oh, I'm so glad. Okay, so Lauren says she loves listening to me talk about money, and I am so happy, because I have been running, like I'm sitting here like scratching my leg, because I've been running away from the topic of money. Y'all see, I've been talking about decluttering. I've been talking about making sacred spaces in your home. And all the while, my intuition's been nagging me, like, you need to tell people about money. You need to talk about money. Like, I've been through so much and I know so much about it. Having it and not having it, and having it again, and all that. And it's just like, you know, I need to share this story. So that's what I'm doing. Oh, Pamela, thank you. I'm not even going to read that one out loud, because I have to let that marinate. Like, I can't even read that one right now out loud. Okay, so yes, Pamela says the way out is sometimes through. Definitely. You can't go around it. You can't go over it or under it. You got to go through it. You got to go through it. So yeah, so that is what we're going to do. I have so much that I have to work on stuff as far as like, thank you. Lauren says, I need money healing. Thank you for being a blessing. Yes, thank you. I needed money healing too. Y'all are overwhelming me, as you can tell. Like, I'm speechless, and I'm not normally speechless. Like, yes, money mindset is definitely part of it. And in the past, I've separated the two and talked about the practical steps for budgeting and then the woo-woo stuff on the side. But I'm thinking we just need to mix it all together and do it all at the same time. That's the way I did it. And that's how you get through it, because there's no other way to survive digging yourself out of debt and out of the shame without relying on your higher power, and without really believing that someday the next best version of you is going to be wealthy and worthy and wise. And I can't think of another W word, but winning, right? Like, the next best version of you. That's what kept me through, is that I said, you know what? In 5 years, I'm going to be debt free. and I'm gonna scream about it, and I'm gonna go on the Dave Ramsey show and do the 3, 2, 1 countdown. And I can't wait for that to happen in 5 years, right? And it happened in less than 2 years. And I think that it was all because I kept focused on the prize, and I had, you know, a lot of help. So we'll be talking about all these steps. Tomorrow is my kid's birthday. So I have twins, a boy and a girl, and they are turning 5 tomorrow. And it should be business as usual. Like, they'll still be going to school. They'll have cupcakes at the school, which is a blessing, because at one point they were just here with me all the time, and I was feeling really sad because I was like, how are they going to have a birthday party and all that? So they'll be having cupcakes at the school, so I'll still be able to come on and talk to you. But then the next day, I'm driving back to where we used to live to have the family party. So if I talk to you from the car, it'll be because of that, because it's like a 5-hour drive. And when I chat with you other days, because we'll probably stay there through next week, maybe, it'll be in a different setting and all that, but I'm still committed to come on and talk to you every day. I want to go through all the 7 C's and tell you everything about the guarantee that I have for you if you are committing to yourself. You know, if you commit to yourself to play full out, to really look at your money, to really decide that you want to win, these will be, you know, guaranteed to you. You definitely will. Step 1, have clarity in your finances, which is the first step. I feel hoarse. We had a mastermind conversation this morning. I have 2 mastermind partners now. Brandy is my mastermind partner, along with Diane. And we had a conversation this morning, I think for like 2 hours, and I'm hoarse now. Like, that's how much we talked and laughed and screamed, and it's amazing. So this kind of mastermind setting is what I want the club to be about. This is the reason I want to start a club, to have these high vibe conversations where in the end of it, you are hoarse, you've been dancing, and you're just like ready to like take on the world. And so like, I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Okay, so that's what we're doing. So Lauren says, this is what I told my partner the other day. He was not convinced, but I am. Yes. And I think that is just about, let me see, just about the future, I think, you know, of having, like, in the future, things are going to be way better. We'll be doing all that, because we did that last year. We talked about the next version of yourself. We're going to do that all again, because that is so powerful to me, to have a person in my head that I'm working towards becoming. And just knowing that, like, if I feel in doubt, if I feel like, you know, I'm not doing the right thing, I can just consult with her and just be like, hey, how does this turn out? And it's like, guess what? It's going to be awesome. So, yeah, Lauren says about the future, yes. Yeah, I mean, and the thing about it is sharing it. The thing about sharing it with other people. You cannot have a more pessimistic partner than I have. You cannot. Like, my husband is very, like, he's very, like, logical. And it's funny because I'm so like, woo, and he is very like, what do the numbers say? What does the evidence say? He just became a doctor, and he's always like, but the evidence says blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you're going to be a horrible doctor, because guess what? People's bodies do not go by the evidence. I don't care what they're telling you. Right? I'm like, I don't care what they're telling you in school about this medicine should work at this particular, I'm like, you got to try something else. And he's like, but, and I'm like, no, it's not logical. The human body is a human body. Everybody is different. It's not going to be like, this is why, it's a whole different conversation, but why I hated practicing medicine as time went on, because they started doing all this research and telling you how you had to treat people based on the evidence, and people's bodies don't work like that. So they're going to figure it out. But anyway, so he just became a doctor, so he's got all this evidence, right? So I just like, whatever. But I'll tell him stuff that's like very visionary, very woo-woo, very like, this is how I feel. Like, I feel we were voting. And I was like, I just felt like this guy was a bad person. And he was like, you know, he poo-poos all that kind of stuff. So yeah, when your inner being gives you a feeling, or your intuition is calling you, that's for you. Your partner is not for them. If it was for your partner, their inner being would have given it to them. So check it with your own body. If you have a feeling like, you know what, things are going to be okay. We're not just going to be out of debt. We are going to be wealthy. We're going to be rich. We're going to be happy. don't share that with your partner, because they're gonna crush your dreams. Like they're gonna crush it. And not to be, hey Gary, Oche, who's in the group, told me at one point when I was doing travel chat, he was like, you're always male bashing. And I'm like, okay, I gotta stop saying bad things about men. I don't want to say anything bad about men. Okay, Jairus, I know you're probably watching too. But sometimes the men, that their intuition is just not as strong. So you may tell them something that you feel deeply in your soul, in your spirit, and it's like totally witchy. Like you have no reason to believe that. And the man is gonna be like, that makes no sense. Because they don't have that kind of women's intuition. They called it women's intuition for a reason. They called us witches back in the day for a reason, because they're afraid of our power. We have a power that men don't have. So if you have a thought, you have a feeling about your future self that feels strongly to you, don't share it with your partner. Like, you just let them make it, because they just don't have it. It's just, sorry, you don't have it. By the way, I had that feeling about this candidate. I was like, oh, this guy, I was looking at his picture on like a billboard, and I was like, this guy, I don't have a good feeling about him. I get home, we get a notice in the mail that this guy's been like arrested for like domestic violence and like these anger outbursts and stuff, and they put the court doc. So I was like, oh, that's interesting, because I really felt strong. I looked at his picture as a young guy too. I looked at his picture and I felt kind of like, I don't know about him. And then my husband was like, well, why do you believe these court records? They could just be lying and saying that he got a domestic dispute. And I was like, that's why my intuition is for me. You don't have to believe it. I believe it because I felt it before I saw the evidence of it. So that's it. So yes, Gary says, keep it to yourself. That's truth. Yes. So I have been trying to hold you guys less than 20 minutes. I'm really practicing because I'm launching this podcast at some point this quarter, probably December, I don't know. But I really want to keep it on time, so I'm practicing. But I just go off the rails because I don't know what, I'm not going to have a script. It's going to be all like intuition led, like this conversation is. So I'm like, how am I going to keep it to 20 minutes? But anyway, I love talking to you guys, and this is like the highlight of my day, which is why I go on and on and on and on and on. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching the replay. Put in hashtag replay. And we just gonna have to let these podcast people make it, right? Like, they just gonna be like, all of her episodes are all different times and different lengths. It's passion. It's passion. Hey, Lisa. Okay, so I will talk to you guys later. I'm about to go in here. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I have a whole list of things to do. So, but I will talk to you later. Bye. Witchy women.